Hey, what's happening? As we end this successful year, I just want to take the time to thank everyone for being a part of our coffee and coaching journey. Thank you for the constant support and for tuning in and watching our videos. Thank you to the guests who spent their free time with us and made coffee and coaching possible. Although this will mark the end of this show, we are very excited to share the good news with all of you. So stay tuned at the end of this video for the big announcement. And before we wrap this up, let's take a look back on the top coffee and coaching episodes over the year. Enjoy. We talk about on the business side of things here within real estate, it's not about the transactions, it's about lifetime value.
Yeah.
And it's the experience they have with you the moment they interact with your organization from now on. And you designing that experience are responsible for every step of the way. And you're responsible for, how they interact with the lender, the inspector, whatever side, whatever they're on, and then beyond, right? Through closing, your team. And but I think Mike, it takes being able to be in an environment and experience something like that to truly, because we know, right? If you only focus on growth within inside of the industry, you're going to have incremental gains, meaning
Right.
You're only going to be able to grow by ones and twos. You may be able to, get to a point. But when you can look outside of the industry into that experience that you just shared at Disney and you apply it into your business, that's how you have exponential gains.
Absolutely.
And so that's just a huge get, right? But because so many agents are so fixated on I got to learn from what's going on in the industry. That's good to kind of pay attention to. But where I want to look at is like, what is Disney doing and what can I take and apply into it? So it's like, and even the most relevant, right? And like, I would love for you to share your experience from past weekend. The cruises are back out. You just went on a Disney cruise, took you and your family.
Yep.
Like, how was that experience after COVID? The ships are back out. Like, what were some experiences that stood out? You're like, oh, I can apply that to my business. Just kind of reminded me of Frank Shamrock's concept in his, in his MMA studios and his classes, is that he has this concept called the plus, minus, and equal. And the plus is obviously somebody that you look up to, right? And that is kind of a mentor that is ahead of where you're at. Minus is somebody that you're above that you can mentor and shorten the learning process for them, and then the equal, to where somebody's really right there with you, pushing each other and the accountability. And I really see that you embody that concept, right? Just even sharing through this conversation. And so I think that's what's cool about our group, is that there's a lot of plus, minus, and equals within the group. And then, you found a couple of equals that you guys are holding each other accountable and really embracing that concept. So it's one of my favorites, a plus, minus, and equal in any equity of our life. And so it's just a good checkup, hey, within the real estate space, who's your plus, who are you, who's a minus that you're a plus to, and then, who are you being accountable with? And, it's really, really awesome. And, I just see you guys that when I heard you guys were kind of putting that together, I was like, yep, they're really embodying that concept. I love, and I think the big lesson here is, and this is kind of a theme with you, it's that, you see a challenge or a problem, and instead of just bitching about it, you find a solution. And so you're trying to be the solution. And so you see the real need, and especially one, you want agents coming into you, but also agents within your community to be better. And that's being a solution instead of sitting on the sidelines just bitching about it.
Because believe me, I did that. Oh, I was like, I heard myself. So I got, I'm transparent as hell. So I heard myself, because with Oreos, we were getting Oreos, we were getting one a day. It was crazy. I was getting calls from all over New Jersey, all different, I was getting questions that were just like, honestly, I was getting frustrated. I was getting annoyed at the questions I was getting, and it was just bothering me. And I heard myself, the way I was speaking, I was like, whoa, like I gotta self-reflect. You can't, if you believe that this is something that's wrong within the industry, change it. Do something about it. Don't exactly what you're saying. Sit there and just bitch and bitch and bitch. Because it's like, all right, you don't like something, what do? You change it. Or you get out of the situation. I'm sure the fuck not getting out of real estate. So I went and I got my instructor's license and I opened up a school. And then, you know,
you guys have it, really dialed in, but it's fostering the vision and then, aligning the people, and then the community creates itself. And that becomes the culture just because of who you guys are. And I know you had mentioned Scott, just so everybody listening in. So Scott is business partners with Michael and Karen. He's fantastic. We'll have him on Coffee and Coaching in the future.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, because I'm pro partnership. Obviously you guys are as well. Talk a little bit about that. And listen, everybody listening in, just because you think of how something is. So this is, Scott, Michael, and Karen, they're like, hey, we want to be a partnership. We want to form this community. We don't want to build a team. Understanding that it can be whatever you want it to be. It's so creative. Design it how you want to design it. And that's what I love about how you guys have done it, because I don't know of anybody else that has kind of structured the way you guys do. And it's awesome and it's working, and you guys designed it that way. But chat a little bit about, I would love to hear your take from a partnership perspective. And because there's a lot of folks, hey, should I partner with somebody? Should I not? I'd love your guys' perspective on that.
Well, so there's three of us, the two of us and Scott, and we just went into this thing and said, we're going to be equal partners, equal investors in our business. So even though it's Karen and Michael, it's not half and half. It's, we're 2/3 and he's a third, because we're a third. So all the investments in the business are shared equally, and all the rewards of the efforts we put in are shared equally. And it just takes the pressure off, because you don't have anybody thinking somebody's getting more than somebody else. And then the other part of every partnership's like a marriage, right? You don't find out until you get into it, it's really going to work real well. But Scott has some great strengths that we don't have. I'd like to think we have some that contribute to what his efforts. I do know between the three of us, we're having our best year we've ever had. And it's because we're starting to hit on a lot of cylinders. If you ask Karen, we still have a ways to go, because she's pushing us all the time to get the processes.
What it takes.
I love that about her. But it really does work, and there's a level of trust. And because of the way we structured it, there's not a lot of oversight, because we are experienced business people, and we do count on the other person of coming through.
The other book, I was trying to look it up, and it must be in my other Audible account, but the Willpower book, that one is more like practical knowledge. And I really found that one would be useful for newer agents, because it's all about how does that day look, right? And not really how to think about those habits, or that environment is really what that Willpower book is about.
Yeah, it is. We talk about that all the time, right? Environment is stronger than willpower. And, the way I've always looked at willpower is that it's just energy. And, we've got all of these things plugged into our, like we're a battery, and we've got all of these things draining us of our battery. And willpower is the highest form of the energy that we have. And it's the first one that gets depleted. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, why, it's the whole eat that frog. And, you want to eat that frog when your willpower is the highest, because sure enough, that willpower is going to be drained. And then now what are you dependent upon, right? Yeah. You had this mindset, this belief about work.
Yeah.
And let's chat about that a little bit. I think this is really powerful for a lot of people that will listen to this, that are joining us now, but also will listen to this in the future. Mm-hmm. I think this is a really, really powerful get for a lot of people.
This is my like favorite because I mean, I'm so happy that I finally discovered this, and I'm happy we're living longer. So like, I thought that if you were going to be successful, it meant having your own company, but not only that, it meant having like a big company, like a lot of people working for you. You're working all the time. You're working like 24/7. It has to be you, like really hands-on, blah, blah, blah. Because I mean, my family of entrepreneurs, that's what they were like. Like I got myself on the bus. I made my own lunch. I did my own laundry. Like when I'm like a kid, you know what I mean? Because they were always working.
Right.
I just assumed that's what you had to do. Fucking not true. It's amazing. So when I had like my, I guess, crisis, and I was like, I gotta get the hell out of Ohio, and I can't just leave Ohio. I have to leave like the country and go for like a year, not like a day or a week, right? It like opened up my eyes so much, and I realized like that is not, because I was upset. Like I don't know if I was upset, but I was like burnt out. I was tired, and I was like,
me as a leader, my communication sucks. But just to be honest, like I would expect my coaches to know what I want them to do. You know what I mean? And so I didn't do a great job verbalizing that to help them to be successful, right? And so, and I would find that out in my own frustrations. You know, in the beginning, I would be frustrated with them, right? I'm like, man, I'm asking you to do these things, and you're not doing them well, or you're not doing them how I want you to do them. And so they were frustrated, and I was frustrated, right? And then once I finally realized, okay, it's time to get help, get a business coach. My first couple business coaches I had in the gym industry, I learned a lot. It was just like every other thing is like, why have I not been doing this? Or why didn't I do this and do that? And then one of the ultimate realizations that I was like, man, this makes so much sense is, dude, if we fail or if something's not going right, it's my fault. At the end of the day, it's my fault as the business owner.
Yep. And I think I've been really trying to be really aware of, you know, what we're doing and how we're doing it, and putting the proper people in place, right? What's my favorite quote that you always say? Skipping steps only presents the illusion of speed. And I'm like, you know, even if it looks good and pretty and the pictures of the team are, you know, if we're not like doing the proper steps in the proper order, we're just never gonna hit our goals. So we really buckled down. We hired an ISA, we hired a videographer, we hired a VA, like pretty much, you know, pretty quickly. Doubled our team count, put agents in places that they would thrive in rather than in the real estate agent position. So, you know, moved Stephanie into a TC role. We have Mama Bear, Beth, at the front desk, who gives us life advice and parenting advice and real estate advice. And so it's, we definitely are having fun.
Yeah. You have to build a team and an organization with people that are doing what they are uniquely built to do, to have an organization that thrives and manages itself, right? So what you were just talking about for people listening in is understanding that we are only uniquely special at just a couple things, right? What's our superpower? So when you find your team and identify their superpower and put them in that function, right? Business roles are functions, but you put somebody that their superpower is that function and you let them live in that space, then your organization becomes self-managing and you don't have to manage it. It manages itself. But if you just have people doing things that's not their superpower, then you always have to manage it. So getting those people in those functions that are their superpowers, you're able to step back and lead. You know, I think being careful to not keep telling ourselves that story, because we all have a unique gift, a unique ability to be able to give. And so it's just understanding that. And I think understanding that you're in a very safe environment, a very safe community that allows you to be vulnerable. And yeah, there are guidelines in place, but for the most part, within just speaking of the honey badger community, we haven't had to put the clamps on anybody. I think it really has just been people coming in, and that's where like we were talking about yesterday, how important culture really is, and the simplest way to look at culture is just a collection of your people.
Right. And
so that's why it's so important to know what you value and surround yourself with like-minded, value-driven individuals that are purpose-driven.
Right.
And when you do that and you create that type of community, then that makes it a safe environment to where you can be vulnerable and allow your unique ability to shine. And that's the transformation that I've really seen with you guys over the last 4, 5, 6 months, is understanding it's okay to be vulnerable and put yourself out there, because the community's got you and they're going to help you overcome whatever it is that you guys are trying to overcome. Is that it can't be 24/7, 365. It's just not sustainable. And what happens is that when we're constantly on, we lose our level of creativity and our energy. So it's just like your phone that has all the apps in the background always running. Your battery will go down fast. And so when our level of creativity is zapped, it's harder for us to make decisions. And that's really the name of the game, right? What is our decision per week, decision per day, decision per hour? How fast are we making decisions? And when we're drained and we're always on, we tend to just let shit pile up, and we don't make the decisions. But when we get away, when we renew and we recharge, we come back, creativity, we're making decisions faster. And so that's one of the cool things that I've always, really admired, that you've got that piece on point.
But they will grind 7 days a week and just jump at everything. And until they make the mind shift of I've got to be good to myself before I can be good to others, then it's really hard, and it's really easy to get just smoked and burn out with everything. And I experienced that, early in real estate, and that's kind of what pushed me to that. And so now when we're coaching, we try to coach everything really well-rounded with inside the team. And what I mean by that is, like, even when we talk about time blocking and building your calendar, and you taught me this, man, is the first thing you put in your calendar is not work related. It's you pick what's most important to you. So for me, faith goes first. So I put the things that have to do with faith in my calendar first. Second is family. So I put the things that have to do with family in my calendar second. And then work is third. So I put that in my calendar third, just to keep things in priority. But And on Friday afternoons, I do my best to go play golf or do something just to disconnect for 3 or 4 hours. And what I found is, once I slow my mind down and I'm not in the grind, ideas come back, my peace comes back. I'm a lot easier to deal with externally. I feel better internally. And so it's just a matter of, you got to really invest in yourself with coaching, with fitness, with spiritually, all those things, and be really well-rounded. And what you'll find is you'll be 70 hours a week and doesn't do any of those things, just because they're not creative enough to take the next step in their growth and the next step and the next step. They're just in survival mode all the time. And that's just a really tough way to go.
My why is really to challenge people to think bigger, right? We all have a constraint in our business, but we also have a constraint in our lives. And that constraint is really around our thinking. So the biggest thing that you can really free up is that constraint, and think bigger, right? If you want your present to be better, your future has to be bigger.